Last night, I was woken up by my dog crying at the back door. I look at the time and it's about 3:30 a.m. I think to myself, that's weird, as he never needs to be let out at this time. I get up, turn on the porch lights and let him out. He was hesitant to go when I opened the door, which was also weird for him. I watch as he runs over to the back fence and starts barking. This wasn't his normal bark. He sounded and looked feral, alarmed. I've never seen him that distressed. I open the door and call out to him to come back inside. That is when I hear it. Whistling. Sounded like someone whistling a song. I don't see anything at this point, but I'm still freaked out because I'm not sure who the hell would be on my property at this time. Let alone really. I'm desperately trying to get to him to come back, but he's fixated on whatever he's barking at. I run to the kitchen to grab his treats, hoping to bribe him inside. I come back to the door and I hear someone or something barking back at my dog, but in a high-pitched voice. It sounded like when a human barks like a dog. I look towards where the noise is coming from and can barely make out what looked like glowing eyes staring back out from the forest. The whistling starts again for a moment, and as soon as I shook his treats and called out to him, I hear a very loud and deep growl. Not from my dog. It didn't sound human either. That noise sounded like a very large animal or something. My dog comes running to the door, straight past me on the streets, right into his crate. I slam the door and lock it. I brought him to my room with me and barricaded us there till daylight. In my head, I could reason the growling to be a bear or a mountain lion. But what was the whistling and human-like barking? Not sure what that was, but it was enough to scare my dog to the point where he was trembling and panting. He's a German Shepherd and he's very big. I've never seen him that upset. I too am terrified and hope that never happens again. I have had some encounters before and after this, and so has the rest of my family. My parents lived in a haunted apartment before moving to my childhood home, which I lived in from birth until I was about 19. My mom believed that there was a spirit that followed us and was causing electrical disturbances, knocking, banging, etc. We were unsure if it was the spirit from the apartment or my great-grandfather, who died tragically before my parents moved into their new house. Paranormal stuff happened for the first 8 years of my life, before my mom called the priest. Something interesting that happened was that when my mom called the priest didn't pick up, but everything paranormal ceased completely after that. My grandmother died when I was about 12, and the house became incredibly active after that. This continued until her funeral and stopped completely after. Then, a couple years later, me and some friends burned a Ouija board in the fireplace, and it caused some creepy stuff to happen. But this story isn't about this. I wanted to preface this with how active this house was. I'm not sure if it was the house or my family that it was attracted to. I don't remember if I was 16 or 17, but I was sitting in my room watching YouTube. Then, out of nowhere, I hear 3 evenly paced knocks come from my door, which I didn't think was strange because around this time, I was asking my parents to knock before coming in my room. I shouted, "What?" at my mom, who was the only person in the house beside me and my dog. She did not answer, so I got up to see what she wanted. When I approached the door, all the hair stood from my body. It's like I could feel there was something behind the door, and I was afraid of it. At the moment, I chalked it up to feeling paranoid, but it got much worse as I turned the knob. I ripped the door open. When I looked, no one was there. I went down to the hall to my living room to find my mom folding laundry on the couch, only about 15 feet away from my room. I asked her what she wanted, and she said she didn't want anything. I asked why she knocked on my door. She said she was about to ask me why I was knocking on my own door. At this point, we are both creeped out, and we decide to try and recreate the knocking sound, just to see if it came from one of the other doors that led outside or off the walls around my room. It would be difficult for sure for somebody to knock on my wall, because my room was the furthest off the ground, I'd say 15 to 20 feet. I stood in my room alone while she knocked on all the other doors in the house. I kind of knew this was a waste of time, because I lived here for a decade and a half, and I know what it sounds like when someone knocks on the door, and when someone knocks on the other doors. I specifically remember my dog not wanting to go anywhere near the hallway that led into my room. A few days went by. I don't remember how many exactly. I was in my room. I think I was playing a game or something. My brother and his girlfriend were on the couch in the living room. I hear the knocks again, about the same time of day, around 5 p.m. Exactly 3, evenly paced. This time, I know it's whatever knocked last time. I could feel the dread again. At this point, I sprint out of my room and into the living room to see my brother and his GF. They were both visibly creeped out, as I had told them about this a couple days earlier, and they were both skeptical. I would be too, in all honesty. My brother's girlfriend was the most surprised, as nothing like this had ever happened to her. After that day, nothing like that happened. A couple years later, I'm 22 now, and I haven't experienced anything like that since. That incident changed me from an atheist to an agnostic, after the other events as well. But this one was the tipping point. I can't be sure there's nothing else out there now, and I hope I'll have more experiences as my life goes on to confirm that there is actually something. I really want there to be nothing after death.